Want to develop healthier habits? You can use what's called the Kolb learning cycle in order to create habits that stick. Because really, when we want to change our behaviors, learning is a fundamental part of that. This is something that I use with my health and wellness coaching clients, but they don't even really know that's what we're doing. It's part of our conversations each time we meet when we talk about how it went, what they did, how it went, what was worked, what didn't work. We create plans to go out and try again. And really what we're using is the experiential learning cycle. The good news is you don't have to have a health and wellness coach in order to use the same process to help yourself develop some healthy habits that will stick this time. So the first phase, there are 4 phases. The first one is experiencing. And this is where you just simply go out and do something new, a new habit or a new behavior that you're trying to develop, because we really learn by doing. So in this, sort of if we were to use an example of what I might do with a client, they would set a goal that for the next 2 weeks before bed, they will pause for 5 minutes to practice 4-7-8 breathing. And so they go out and they try it for 2 weeks. Then when we come back and meet, we move into the second phase, which is called reflecting. And it's really important. This is something we don't tend to do on our own. It's really important to think about what worked and what didn't so we can learn from that and sort of make course corrections going forward. And that's what you do in this phase. You talk about how it went, what were the successes, and what were the challenges. And so in that example, someone might come back and say, well, out of the 14 days, I was able to do it 9 of the nights. And I don't really know if I did 5 minutes because I found the timer distracting. But I did find that if I did the 4-7-8 breathing, it really calmed me down. And half the time I ended up falling asleep right away. So we'll know from there, okay, let's talk about, what this means. And that's when we move into the third phase, which is known as thinking. And that's where we draw conclusions. We think about our game plan for how we might improve next time. So we might come up with a new action item for the next 2 weeks where we don't worry about the time. So let's say that 5 minutes was distracting the timer, but they liked 4-7-8 breathing. And so instead we'll come up with, well, maybe we'll just practice that breathing pattern 10 times before bed, and that will be enough of a practice. And so we create a new updated action item based on what we learned and the conclusions that we drew from the first experiencing. And so we might set our new goal to be for the next 2 weeks, I will practice 4-7-8 breath work 10 times right before bed. And so that I don't forget this time, I'm going to put a little sticky note on my nightstand. So before I turn out my light at night, I'll see it and I'll remember to do it. So you can see the conclusions we drew, the lessons we learned are then implemented to help us make course corrections. So we're much more likely to be successful the next 2 weeks where we try this new healthy habit. And then the fourth phase is simply acting. It's where you go out and you do it again. You apply what you learned, you experience it, and you move through the phases again, just like that. So it's a really simple way to get intentional about a new habit. You have to pause and ask yourself these types of questions. You have to reflect on what's working and what's not working, and then come up with a new game plan for the next week. And that's how behavior change really happens. That's how we develop new habits. It doesn't have to be complicated. Your health and wellness can be improved through these very simple application of techniques. If you like this sort of thing, consider signing up for Take 5. It's my monthly newsletter where I share simple, science-based solutions for a healthier, calmer life. In the meantime, try giving the learning cycle a try. Think about pausing, reflecting, planning, coming up with a new game plan after you've set a goal for yourself. Let me know how it goes. Good luck.